YouTube here with a post-fight video for Jermell Charlo versus Castano #2. And before I get you out the analysis of what took place in the fight, I'm going to tell you how the results to kick this video off. Jermell Charlo was able to score a 10th round knockout win to become the new undisputed super welterweight champion. He becomes the 7th ever man to join that undisputed champions list in the 4-belt era. So congrats to him on a hard-fought, much-deserving win. Prior to the knockout, I personally had the fight score 88-83 in favor of Jermell Charlo. Now, with that being said, let's get on to breaking down what happened in the fight. Now, like I said, on my scorecards, I had Charlo up by a wide margin. He was clearly winning the fight. He fought a beautiful fight, and as far as Castano goes, he pretty much had the same game plans as he did in the first fight. He was aggressive, relentless, didn't let up, tried to cut off the ring versus Charlo, and was the aggressor pursuing the action. But in this fight, man, Charlo, he made the necessary adjustments that he needed to make to walk out as the winner in this fight. And yeah, he did apply those adjustments, like utilizing the jab, being more elusive throughout the fight, maneuvering around the ring very well, keeping his back off the ropes, and anytime he would have his back against the ropes, he was out of there pretty quickly, as he was doing a good job at precision counterpunching in this fight. That counter left hook of his was working like a charm throughout the whole fight, and that jab was also a key factor in the fight, as that was landing very precisely and very well throughout the fight, and it was effective jabs. Anytime he would throw a sluggish jab, it would get countered with a Castano overhand right hand. But throughout majority of the fight, he was throwing good jabs to maintain distance with him and Castano. And Charlo's power definitely showed in this fight, as whenever he connected his flush punches, he would stop Castano in his tracks. In this fight, he was landing more accurately, hence why I think those punches were having more effects on Castano in the second fight compared to the first fight. And the knockout, man, it was like a late reaction. He caught Castano coming in with a left hook and a right hand, which dropped Castano. Castano got up, but he looked wobbly, and he didn't have his legs up under him. And the referee let him continue. But Charlo, he's a good finisher, and he did what he did, and he got Castano up out of there. Like I said, Castano didn't have his footing. He was basically out on his feet, and Charlo closed the show. Like I said, beautiful performance by Jermell Charlo. Now he becomes the undisputed super welterweight champion. In the post-fight interview, he did say he might want to move up to 160 middleweight, which is the division that his brother Jermell fights at. Jermell got a fight coming up, I think, next month versus I forgot his opponent's name. I'm gonna remember it. I'm gonna look it up and see who he's fighting, and I'm gonna remember Jermell's opponent. But Jermell is a champion over there. He's the WBC middleweight champion. Unlike Jermell, he holds only one title at middleweight. It would be quite the mix if Jermell goes up to middleweight. Of course, Andrade, he had that fight scheduled for next week, but that had got postponed because Andrade is injured, and that's another champion at middleweight. And then, of course, you got Triple G, who holds the WBA and the IBF title. He holds majority of the titles out of all the champions at 160. Now that he conquered 154, Jermell, I guess he wants to move up in weight. He came in a little underweight for this fight. That goes to show how serious he took the training camp for this fight. He cleared all doubts, all the questions in the air. He scored a knockout win. Anytime Jermell Charlo has a rematch, because Jermell is undefeated. Of course, y'all remember Jermell's only L came from Tony Harrison in a controversial decision where Charlo should have won that fight, but he wanted to avenge that L by knocking out Tony Harrison in the 12th round a few years back in their rematch. And Charlo, once again, when he had a second rematch versus Castano, and the first fight between him and Castano was a close fight, but I thought Castano won the fight. That had a lot of, that had brought a lot of doubts along Jermell Charlo's way, and he cleared all those doubts after tonight's performance for sure. And yeah, but there's still, some good quality opponents that could, be some threat to his crown at 154. I think Charlo is the best 154 pounder for sure. He's the undisputed champion. I mean, you had Sebastian Fundora, who's coming off a impressive performance in his last fight versus Lubin. That made him a mandatory challenger, at least with the WBC. He's next in line to challenge Charlo for his belts. I think that would be a interesting fight between him and Fundora. Fundora, obviously, he's no disrespect, from the looks of it, a freak of nature. He looks like he's way too big to be competing and fighting at 154, but he's there, undefeated, young and up and coming prospect. He's in line to challenge for Charlo's titles. I think that would be a fun fight to see. And then you also had Tim Tszyu in the mix, a second generation star, or star in the making rather. He had his impressive American debut. Apparently he wants to fight veteran at super welterweight in Jermell Hurd. And then, that if he gets through Hurd, I'm talking about Tszyu, or, if he fights, whether it's Hurd or Arias, who pulled off that upset win versus Hurd in their last fight. He could, I think obviously Hurd is a more recognizable name than Arias, so he would want to, fight Hurd instead of Arias if he wants to make his name more, marketable and out there. But, if Tszyu looks impressive and gets through his next fight, he's also in line to potentially be a challenger for Jermell Charlo at the super welterweight division. And then you also have Erislandy Lara, who's a veteran who could fight either at 160 or at 154. He's a threat to anybody with his style and his technical ability and his boxing fundamentals. He's the other WBA regular world super welterweight champion, so he could be potentially a next challenger for the throne at 154 versus Jermell Charlo, and Charlo has never fought Lara, and that would be a tough challenge for the undisputed champion at super welterweight. But what's y'all opinions on Jermell Charlo's win? He definitely performed, and y'all go check out and tap in with my latest episode of Talk Boxing. I had put out my pound for pound rankings. Jermell Charlo wasn't on the list because, I did say in that video, if y'all go watch that, depending on how this fight went with Charlo and Castano, that would change my pound for pound list for sure. And now Jermell Charlo is definitely on the top 10 pound for pound rankings. I'm gonna update it, probably put it in my shorts or something like that. Yeah, but y'all go tap in with that episode. Jermell Charlo is definitely one of the top 10 pound for pound champions currently active in the sport right now for sure. Definitely after a performance like that, scoring a knockout versus a tough champion like Brian Castano, handing him his first L. That's impressive, and that definitely is a performance by a pound for pound top 10 champion for sure. Yeah, anyways, y'all let me know what y'all thoughts are in the comments, or if y'all got a video covering what happened with Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano, I'll tap in. Yeah, but that does it for this video. Y'all comment, subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff, and I'm out, y'all. Be safe, be healthy, and peace.